Today, everyone here. So I'll just call the annual meeting of the members of the Columbia Association to order. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second? Sherry. Seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? All those members? Unanimous. Thank you. Resident speak out. Let Janet, let Janet bring the list up, Brian, just so we can.
Keep the list in your head.
Kind of want to do it official.
Okay.
Thanks. Welcome, Brian.
Okay. Guess what I'm going to talk about? Okay. Well, there's a lot of things that are coming together with Newtown zoning, and I wrote to Jane and Milton about perhaps having a tour of some of the issues in our industrial park, which would be nice to give first-hand experience of what issues we've got. But one of the things that has come up, and Val Lasdin has said, that recently pointed out, that testimony to the Howard County Planning Board must be relevant. He emphasised it's going to refer to the development regulations, which seems reasonable enough. The DPZ website gives a clear guidance on how to comment on the Newtown regulations. And what I've done, I've put where you can go to see what these are. And so you, I don't know if I've got a copy here. Maybe I do. Yes. This is the guideline. And I double checked, this is quite an old copy. It's still exactly the same. So if anyone wants to look. And one of the things it says, there are 4 major steps in Newtown. 1, the preliminary development plans, PDP, the comprehensive sketch plans, the final development plans, and the site development plans. The problem is when the development takes place in Newtown, DPZ misses out the comprehensive sketch plan. Well, yes, because they don't have one any anymore. They didn't load them, they destroyed them. They're missing. So instead of coming up with a substitute to take the place of the comprehensive sketch plan, sort of a set of guidelines, what they've done is just ignored it. So it's a really ironic situation. So if you go and give testimony and want to give it relevant testimony to the planning board, you can't because the DPC is not running the development process correctly. So we don't have a comprehensive sketch plan. Then we need something to replace it temporarily till we get the code rewrite. And the code rewrite is probably 2 to 4 years away. Time we get everything sorted out. So we need something temporary to keep Columbia a planned community. It's really important. So while Val has given us some little ideas, gradually we've chipped away at him and we've seen he's got to the point where he will give Newtown development a special, make sure any development is in scale. Now, I tried to pin him down on what in scale means, but that's where we are at the moment. And he also says, and he's defined this a bit more, Newtown development will get a special scrub. Again, I haven't really pinned him down yet on what that means, but that's what he says. But there's one other important guideline I think we should share with them, and it's the one that Jane put together for the board about 3 years ago. And it's called the Guiding Principles for a 21st Century Planned Community of Columbia. You all approved it. Well, that's what the board of then approved it, which I think is probably something he should have to give them an idea. So the idea is to build up something to replace the comprehensive sketch plans. Now, this all comes up. So, by the way, I did do the link, in case you don't want to search for it on the CA website, I put the link for the comprehensive sketch plan as well. No, the guiding principles. Now I want to discuss something that's going to...
Your time's not up.
Sorry. Musical accompaniment.
I want to talk about what you're going to talk about this evening, is Royal Farms. So I want to start by talking about the serious issues facing the Guildford industrial area. The background to this is, in the Orman administration, M1 zoning was changed to allow uses that involve the general public. That means like swimming lessons and karate lessons and things like this. But the regulations affecting how these people go to park, get in, the roadways and everything else, they weren't changed. So then an industrial park, which was quite happy going along, has suddenly changed, and that's caused some problems. Then there's a whole thing about oversight of the industrial parks. The streets are not kept clean. They don't repair the streets. The roads are not changed in the 18 years that I've been there. They've hardly done anything. They've still got the old railroad tracks there, and they haven't done some of the potholes and things. The safety at the intersection between Gerwig and Berger. Now we've got, because when they opened up Minstrel Way, now we've got twice as much traffic. And we pleaded with them to have a four-way stop or some other sort of thing, but they do not want to do that. So now we have near misses and we have accidents. They just said, just put a sign on one of the stop signs that says the roadway in front of you doesn't, people do not stop. But, you know, if someone stops to read that. So we really need to have the industrial park changed, to have sidewalks to put in. We need pathways and bike paths. We'll address the overnight parking. We have people that do not do business. They do not own property in our industrial park, and they're parking overnight. Addressing problems with people sleeping in cars. Enforcement of parking regulations to stop the parking rental vehicles everywhere. Viewing the parking area at the bottom of Berger Road. That's just been, they've allowed just to take over this area. Monitoring development so the industrial park is not further compromised. And this is what's going to bring me up to Royal Farms in just a second. And then updating Berger Road so that we've got new lane markings so people can safely get down to the new uses, like brewery and things like that. And enforcement of the covenants, of course. Now, one of the things that both on my deed for my property, it's got Howard Hughes and Columbia Association, well, it actually says CPRA. It says the Architectural Committee to take into consideration the best interests of the owners, and to that end shall maintain a first-class industrial centre. Well, it's not first class, it's becoming a dump because we're just ignored. And that's why I really emphasise, Milton, that we really need to, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, J.D. Smith and I talked to John DeWolf and he says you can have the covenants, you can do it. That's a long time to wait and still not anything to happen. So I hope the board will take this issue up as well to get this moving along, because I think we need someone that's going to truly regulate. And when we put in for FDP change, it said that we wanted only wholesale gas stations, and they passed it. The Royal Farms put in for FDP change. It says they want to say they can have a retail one. They pass it. Well, what's that? What sort? I mean, as John DeWolf said, he couldn't care. He's just going to sign off on it. That is wrong. We need to get the covenants, and we need to move forward. Some of the development issues that are going to come because of Royal Farms, that's going to mess it up even more, is the plans for Snowdon River Parkway will have to be redesigned to accommodate this new use. And the worst thing is, it's going to negate the very thing we've been waiting 10 years for. Here we have the parkway, all the designs we've all laid out to make it better. And now we're going to put something on it that's going to make it worse. It's bizarre. The other thing is, the last time their SDP got turned down, so they would have been grandfathered in to have a fuel station but the fuel station report says you cannot have a mega gas station, a mega car wash, a mega convenience store anywhere but on a major intersection like I-95 and 175. So obviously completely the wrong location. It's not compatible with our planned community where we have gas stations at least have a 20-foot setback, or they're in village centres. It's not compatible with other gas stations in Columbia. It's out of scale with the development of a Columbia Parkway. Remember, I've always talked about how we call it Parkway, but DPZ calls it Urban Boulevard, which there's reasons for that, but it will cause village centre blight, as we've heard before, because of a gas station's fail, and it will fail. This gas station that's coming in is going to be 600,000 gallons a month. Most gas stations in Columbia do about 150,000 to 200,000. It gives large corporations a competitive advantage. Everybody else is stuck in village centres or off the road, and then you're going to let this company, a big company like Royal Farms, sit on the side of our parkway. That's bizarre. Why are we giving these people a free ride? I mean, every gas station in Columbia would love to be able to be on the highway, but that's not us. So the other thing is really annoying is totally out of step with national trends. We don't need less. We need less stations rather than more. We have 65 gas stations in Howard County. Every year, gas sales go down about 5%. So you just do the numbers, we should be losing 2 or 3 a year any case. Now on top of this, if you get Royal Farms, it's going to kill about 3 or 4. So I suppose but it's going to become a monopoly. Certainly in the surrounding area of Colombia. And that really means it's an attack on our small village centres. And worst of all, it's going to make the congestion worse at Minstrel Way and Snowdon River Parkway. Today I left at 2 o'clock. I had to wait through 2 different cycles. It took 6 minutes to go through the light. Typically it only takes me 10 minutes to get home. But that intersection is atrocious. So that's a long, drawn-out thing. So I'll give you all copies. But I think, and I will just pass around a few pictures of some of these atrocious things. These are some pictures. This is just no, just get.
Thanks, Brian. Any questions for Brian? Alan first and then Greg.
2 questions. Do you know what the fuel station report was done? Does it have any, was it just like some ideas people had, or does it have any force of anything?
Well, it took, I don't know all the details of it. I only was on the delivery of it and wasn't at all the meetings, but they had literally dozens of meetings, and they came to conclusions.
Jane seems to think.
Yes, so after all that, the zoning was, the rules were changed in the zoning regulations. So
Everything that was in the fuel station report?
no,
or a couple of things?
some of it was in there, and I can't tell you all of the things, but so some of the things like can't be so much from a park or daycare or street, things like that. Some more landscaping and other things that got into the regulations. So that's the special use sections. In Newtown, we don't have that, but every gas station in Newtown has to be judged by those same regulations. Okay. So it's a new set, and this time we all have to be judged by those, not the old set.
Conditional use.
Yes.
And second, thank you. Second question, what would a comprehensive sketch plan, what are the 3 or 4 things that the comprehensive sketch plan does that are not done by the other things?
Well, without the comprehensive sketch plans, there's probably about 5 to 7 FTPs in the comprehensive sketch plan. So it's like a little mini plan, it's an extra plan, it's a mini plan for that area. So it would show where gas stations are, it would show a general, it's like a village centre plan almost. So I think, how many, I think there's about 150 FTPs, so there's quite a few comprehensive sketch plans that are missing. There are a few around that got filed in where people developed and got, they probably could be.
And so the impact of not having the CSP is?
You can't refer to what's meant to be in that area. You've got no point of reference.
Okay, thank you.
In a way we have, because we know what's there, so we can imagine. But losing that is a tragedy, really.
Thank you.
Greg.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the fuel station report as well. If I understand your answer, Jane, it sounds like pieces of it were taken and put in.
Yes.
Some was in, some's out, kind of thing.
Right, and that's now that's the standard that everybody has to use.
At least what was included in.
Yes,
obviously
of course,
wasn't.
right.
Okay, Brian, thanks for coming in tonight, as always. I heard from Chris Oliva that part of what is in the Royal Farms proposal for the future of Snowdon River is to put a triple left turn in where Snowdon hits Broken Land. So when you're driving down Snowdon, you hit Broken Land instead of the double left. Now it is going to be a triple left. Is that true? I haven't seen the picture of that.
Yeah, I saw the plan. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. It is, and that the Snowdon widening is many years off because they have to acquire property and stuff. But they are doing what they call a breakout project. That project is going to be done this summer, started this summer, adding that westbound clear turn lane to go south on Broken Land.
Yeah, that's going to stop the bottleneck as you're coming off of
So it's a
175.
small change, but it will alleviate some of that backup.
As you're coming off 170.
Yeah, so imagine what you're coming off, and you're going to go, as you're coming off that exit ramp, Instead of all going around to the right and then have to cross over, what you'll do is there'll be another offshoot that'll bring you round and you'll join the two lanes that go straight on.
That's not what I'm talking about.
That's a different project.
improvement.
I'm talking about,
Oh, okay.
Yes.
listen, this,
Okay, that's.
I think-
Yeah.
I think Jane answered the question, but I mean, what I'm saying, Brian, is that when you're on you're on Snowden. You're on Snowden now. You're not on 32. You're on Snowden, and you're about to hit Broken Land. Okay, and if you go left, you're going to go to 32. And go right toward Lake Elkhorn.
Right, coming that way, yeah, okay.
They are going to add a left turn lane on Snowden, so you're going to have 3 lanes of traffic that can turn left
Onto Snowden?
onto Broken Land.
Onto Broken Land, okay.
Well, that's going to help the traffic coming down that way. The biggest, because I hear issues coming back the other way, coming off of Broken Land Parkway, turning left.
And that's another breakout project that they are working on.
Yeah, that's where we get all the congestion. Remember, we're taking 3 lanes of traffic, putting it into 2, and then you're going to have interjected into that. Well, it is the what the original plan was going to have raw farms interjected into it. But now you're going to have people coming out of the raw farms and making a right turn on Minstrel to join the traffic.
I guess my question is just: Are you aware anywhere else in the county they have a triple left turn lane? Are you worried about the additional risk created by a triple left?
I think Broken Land is going to be worse.
There's all the things that are being done. The opening up of Minstrel Way, and all this trafficking is not being done in a proactive way, in a real logical way. You've got this future development of Snowden River Parkway, which I thought was in the funding for next year, but you may be wrong. But you've got the whole thing has not been done with any thought at all. Why open up Minstrel Way to start with? It's complicated our industrial park. I mean, remember, industrial park was an end destination. It wasn't like going to a shopping mall, but that's what it's become. I'm not knocking that. I mean, having a brewery and a distillery across the road from your business is not but it's sort of we need the infrastructure to support it. And we really need the CA to get on board with keeping us a plan to use. That's why I was thrilled when I went and read this guiding principles, because these are the things that are very important. And if we use these, then in our judgment, it'll be good.
Thanks.
Ginny.
The overnight parking covenant issue,
Yes.
is that the responsibility of a village board?
No, Howard Hughes or CA. Or, yeah, but that mentioned that both
Is Howard Hughes?
there is a whole thing. Well, it could be the county. This is a blurred area. One of the things it says in the covenants, it says you cannot park vehicles overnight in the industrial park. So if that's in the covenants, then it can be enforced, and then they could be notified that you shouldn't park there. But, I mean, you could say maybe the county's involved in it, but they're only involved in where it's marked no parking.
Let me just simplify this. Have you tried contacting the county to say, we got a problem, and what did they say?
Well, they've got that see, click and fix.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, they've basically ignored that. And the same thing with this. I give you an idea of how it works with it. Remember, in the picture you've got of the muddy roadway, that picture there, the muddy roadway, where on the corner of Minstrel Way and Snowden River Parkway, there was a lamp that got knocked over when it was first put up. Subsequently, I let them know that was see, click and fix. It got another lamp knocked over. I did it again, and another one got knocked over. So in the end, I told them that you need to move the lamp. But now, if you look at the pictures, now what's exposed, now they're cutting the corner even more, and a tree is going to be next to the knocked over. You see, it's an industrial park. The thing is, they built a hotel, and of course, those big buses, 2 hotels, there's enormous buses that stop there. They can't make that turn. It's just bizarre. So there's no thought gone into this at all. They opened up a road and they shouldn't have done. They haven't designed the road correctly. Of course, these are issues we put way back before AAA and the other people went in that area.
Okay, my second question is more for Jane. Could you let us know at some point what legislation the county council passed on gas stations and what is missing from the zoning? What did the zoning leave out? What provisions did the zoning leave out? Because I would think they'd implement the whole thing. I'm surprised they.
No, they did not. They kind of have to make compromises as some things did not get in. But sure, we can do that for you.
Yeah, what I'm missing here is if a county council passes legislation with 10 provisions, say, and it's enacted, and then the zoning board, I would think, would have to implement all 10. I don't think they can pick and choose.
No, there's nothing like that. So there was a citizens report that was given as guidance, and that council then made its own decision. That's their job. And then the regulations were changed as per their act, and now that's the regulations that are used for gas stations. And you have to meet all those stipulations. It's not picking or choosing.
So, okay, to help me with my confusion, I thought what was being said is sort of it sounded like the zoning department was picking and choosing, but in fact.
He's saying that the council didn't take all the recommendations.
That's different. So the council implemented X and the zoning board implemented X. Okay.
Yes,
No problem. No problem then.
These.
Yeah, okay, that's different from what I was hearing. Okay, great.
Any other questions for Brian? Thank you, Brian. Next up, we have Jervis Norton. Welcome, Jervis.
I endorse pretty much everything that Brian had to say about all the subjects that he covered. But one thing I wanted to point out is that, as you know, I worked for the Rouse Company for many years, and I was in fact the architectural committee for the Rouse Company in Columbia on and off over that period of years. So it really grieves me to see the industrial parks in particular going downhill the way they are. Because in fact, there are rules and regulations in place that just need to be implemented. It's not like we have to dream up a new way of controlling things. In particular, we have the covenants. And the parties to the covenants are HID, which of course is not active, as Brian points out. There is the association that in each of the industrial parks that can take action to enforce the covenants. And the third party to the covenant is CA. And I just here to plead with CA, it's time to stand up and take a lead position in controlling what's happening all around us in Columbia. The county government is not focused on Columbia specific, and even doesn't really want to get too acquainted with all the niceties of why this is a better place. But CA, you represent all the constituents, all the inhabitants here. And even if the residents here don't appreciate the finer points of what's going on, and they do kind of complain about some of the things that go on, but you representing them know much better than they do what the problems are, because you hear it from people like Brian and myself. And I think it's incumbent on you to start enforcing the covenants, particularly in the industrial parks. The villages have their own architectural committee, and downtown is taken care of, I guess. But the industrial parks are hanging out there, and they're getting worse and worse. Not all of them, of course, but Oakland Mills is really appalling. And Guilford and Sealing are close behind. And you have the authority to enforce the covenants, and I plead with you to do so. And just flipping now to the Royal Farm Store, if in fact you were administering the covenants in that industrial park, you would have had a say early on about approving that plan before it got too far down the line and became really political. It's very difficult to turn it around at this point. But you would have had the time in which to review it, approve it, or disapprove it. I mean, one of the things that's flagrant about it is it has no setback from the parkway. If you look at the gas station across the street, it's 40 feet back from its property line. If you look at the other gas station further up, the Shell station, further up near Snowden Square. That's 50 feet back from his property line. And what is a farm store? 10 feet. That's his parking there. So it's a development that has no sympathy with the standards that we're used to seeing in the United States. I'm just pleading with you to take a leading role in you will be able to have many of these issues that we've
Thanks, Jeremy. Any questions? Thank you, Jeremy. Yes. Yeah. Well, I was going to ask if Chris wanted to. Because you want to sign up or speak out?
I'll tell you what. I'll just tell you what is in the gas station task force, and Jane covered it pretty well. The principal thing concerning Columbia and the NT zone was the conditional use regulations now apply, and there were some tweaks that were made, and the conditions are that basically you have to have safe and efficient flow of traffic, and you're not supposed to be spilling into the street. And down in like Rockville, there's a Free State gas station there, and it constantly spills into Rockville Pike. And they have a sign, if you spill in, you get a citation because you'd be blocking Rock Pike. And there's a car wash on Hungerford Drive in Rockville, and they have the same problem. And this is going to have a lot of traffic, and there will be, it'll spill into the road. And they're going to have to show that they don't spill into the road, or else they could not get granted a conditional use.
When you say
Great.
spill in or spill into the road, you mean cars stick out onto or going on broken land waiting to get in there?
They could make it to Broken Land, but they're first going to hit Minstrel, of course, because that's where their access point
Right.
is. And then, that'll cause, a ripple effect, and of course, on the way down to Stone River. I was speaking to a property owner today who's across the street from Brian, and he said since Minstrel Way opened up, Beardwick Lane is now a cut through, and they have that software package Waze, and people are cutting through all the time, and then you have all that, like Brian just explained, all of the traffic there, and a lot of the property owners there are not happy because it's not really a good look if you're trying to lease space to have a bunch of commercial vehicles that aren't even, these people aren't even related to the park.
Ginny? Nope. Okay. All right. That's all I have on the sign-up sheet. Okay, thank you. All right. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of May 11th, 2017? And amazingly, everybody was here.
So moved.
I'll vote.
A second.
Ginny Chow. Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. Okay, we have a resolution to elect 10 directors to the board of directors. Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we elect 10 members to the board,
According to the resolution, right?
according to the resolution.
I second.
Cal seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. All right, we'll adjourn the meeting of the members.